In today's video, we're talking about how Valve kept their word and the Steam Deck OLED is coming back in stock. After that, we got to talk about this awesome new plugin for Steam Deck that makes listening to music a lot easier. And finally, I just want to talk about this insane new handheld from Lenovo because it's crazy. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware. I hope you had a great weekend playing a ton of video games. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw me online. I was playing Resident Evil Requiem every night. It's just so good. It's like mixing my favorite things in Resident Evil 2 Remake, 4 Remake, and 7. It's like I mashed them up and had a baby with them. Unreal. Just so good, and I'm glad it runs well on the Steam Deck. If you want to play it at 30 FPS, don't leave it at lowest. Set it to low. Those are separate settings. Turn FSR off. It's a pretty much locked 30 FPS throughout the entire game, but if you want a perfect locked 30 FPS, FSR 3 at quality will get you there. But yeah, let me know what you're playing down in the comments below. Also, it would really help me out if you subscribe to the channel, set your notifications to all. But with the intro out of the way, let's get into the first news story here. We all know what's been going on with the Steam Deck. The RAM crisis caused Valve to not be able to have enough to keep it in stock. It was out of stock for a few weeks. Then Valve put a note underneath the Steam Deck that said, hey, we're working on it. We're going to get them back in stock. It's just going to go in and out of stock intermittently. And that's exactly what happened. On Friday, the 1 terabyte went in stock. So I ran over to Twitter. I tweeted out from the Deck Ready account, hey, they're in stock. I got a bunch of replies from you guys who were waiting to buy one saying that you were able to pick one up. Then it went out of stock after a couple of hours. Then later in the day, like around the afternoon, the 512 gig went in stock and I did the same thing. And even more people said they were able to get one. So it seems like all of the people who were saving up their pennies or their Counter-Strike skin Steam wallet codes were able to get a Steam Deck for MSRP. And then there were a few left over who completely missed it. One of you emailed me and was like, my Steam Deck disappeared while I was on vacation. And I was like, you could email Valve and they'll probably replace it. But if they won't, the Steam Deck's back in stock. So like it was a kind of a mess of a situation, but as Valve said, it's going to be intermittent that it comes in and out of stock as they get their hands on more Steam Decks. And I'm glad they're staying true to that because everyone's been acting like the Steam Deck is completely done. And I get why you need to play up this RAM crisis as much as possible, but it's so bad that I don't think you need to play it up. I think as it is, where, you know, we're going in and out of stock randomly with the Steam Deck, prices are going up on consoles, prices are going up on PC parts, you don't have to like play it up to make it sound way worse than it is. If it takes that to get people on board with reading your article or watching your video where you're like AI is going to destroy gaming, maybe that shows people know the information and have determined their opinion on it and they don't need to be swayed or continue to be convinced that it's the end of the world for gaming because, you know, it's clearly not the end of the world. This thing's coming back in stock and I think that's a good thing. And all of this is coinciding with the Steam Deck's 4th birthday. And I think the good thing about the Steam Deck being 4 years old is that it really doesn't feel 4 years old. Like, yes, there are a couple of games coming out here or there that are just too demanding for the Steam Deck. But the common theme between all of the games that don't work on Steam Deck is that they run like shit on everything, whether you have a 5090 PC, a PS5, a PS5 Pro, a Switch 2. If the game releases there, the common theme is that if it doesn't run on the Steam Deck, it runs really bad on those other platforms. And the consolation prize being I can play this game that isn't finished isn't a great consolation prize at all. Because when it comes to a game like Resident Evil Requiem, which had its biggest launch day for the entire series ever, like it beat Call of Duty Black Ops 7, that game runs incredibly well, feels like it's worth $70, is giving fans what they've been asking for from the series, both new and old. And look, they're being rewarded for it. So I think the lesson there is the Steam Deck is not too old. Like, yes, it's not the highest end hardware. It's that developers need to start finishing their games and making sure they're up to par quality wise before they release them at all to begin with. So with the Steam Deck being 4 years old and coming back in stock, if you have the money saved up, I think it's still definitely worth buying one. I don't think the Steam Deck 2 is coming out for at least a year. I think 2027 is the earliest we could see a Steam Deck 2, and I would like that, but I'm still not 100% confident in that. It all really depends how this RAM crisis shakes out and if developers keep targeting older platforms. Like, you know, Resident Evil Requiem running so well on the Switch 2 really helped the Steam Deck, and if that keeps happening, I mean, we don't need a Steam Deck 2 to until that stops being possible. And I know people all have their eyes set right now on the AYN Odin and the AYN Thor. I called it Ein in my video about ARM handhelds, but it's AYN because it's all you need. I did a lot of research about this. That's how I learned that. I think you need to do a lot of research before you pick one of those up, because yes, while it can run Steam games and people are saying, oh, this is my new Steam Deck Mini, not anywhere near close to that sort of reality. The amount of games that you can play on the Steam Deck runs over what you can do on these ARM devices, like 10 to 20-fold. It's like you could play a relative handful of games through Steam on these ARM devices. I think it will get there because obviously Valve is making SteamOS for ARM devices, which means they want FEX to also be as good as Proton in terms of compatibility. But like, I wouldn't buy in now as your only device to play Steam games, because by the time this all gets finished, there's going to be newer and better devices out that are available, and they'll probably be around the same price point with all of the improvements that these companies like AYN get from fan feedback. And I just can't tell if it's one of those situations where, you know, these Android handhelds come out, everyone's obsessed with them for a few months while they get everything set up, but they're actually playing the metagame of getting Steam games running, getting their emulator set up, moving and placing everything where it needs to go on the home screen. And then they're sitting down like Thanos being like, my hard-earned victory is here. And it's like, were you ever going to play games on this thing? Because that's why I buy handhelds, to play games. Like, I really enjoy playing games on the Steam Deck. I got Fallout 4 up and running over the weekend because I have a mental block where I can only play scary games during the night. So during the day, I played Fallout 4 and it looks and runs amazing on the Steam Deck. And that was my weekend. It wasn't spent tinkering around with getting filters for emulators up and running, or like getting the actual perfect frame rate set up for 3DS games on the Steam Deck. Like, I love doing that, but really I want that done as quick as possible so I can get to playing games. So if it ends up being a situation like that, I wouldn't be surprised. If it doesn't, I'm going to be excited, because having more devices that run SteamOS is just an awesome future. And being able to put SteamOS potentially on a tablet or a phone, then you're really talking about some compatibility and coolness. So like, yeah, you get cloud saves, you get decent performance, then we're talking about replacing the Steam Deck. But right now, I would say with the Steam Deck going back in stock and not being chronically sold out, I think you should buy a Steam Deck if you've got $400 or more just laying around. I think if you want to play games, that's the best possible device to buy on the entire market. It's got an insane library right from the jump, a great operating system, and 100% the best ergonomics of any handheld you can buy right now. But moving on to the second news story here, I just want to highlight this really cool plugin for the Steam Deck that my friend Felix from Deck Filter told me about. So huge shout out to him. Check out his app. It's called Deckify, and what it allows you to do is play music from Spotify on your Steam Deck while you're playing games. And this is great for stuff like Factorio, stuff like Stardew Valley, you know, these games that you just sink hours and hours into. The new one is Mugenics. Like, when you get sick of the looping music that these games have, you could just connect to your phone, play some Spotify music, and then just jam out to your favorite songs while you're playing these busy work life sim sort of games. Like Dead Cells is another one. Like, I love the music in Dead Cells, but I'm a little sick of it at this point after hundreds of hours in that game. I'd love to just jam out to Ella Langley while I'm playing Dead Cells. That would be awesome. So there's actually two ways to get this set up. One is easy, one is still easy, but it has a few more steps. The first one works with Spotify Connect. So you go to GitHub, you get Deckify, you install it into Decky, and then you have to connect your phone to the Steam Deck, and then the song that's playing and all the playback controls will be in the Decky menu on the quick access menu. So it has to be connected to your phone and everything is handled by that. But you can actually get it all set up so it's natively on your Steam Deck. You just have to turn your Spotify account into a developer account and go through a couple extra steps with the plugin, and then you can directly connect to Spotify from the Decky menu on your Steam Deck. And it looks like either way you choose, it's not going to eat in dramatically to the performance or battery life of your Steam Deck, because playing music over the internet obviously sips battery because it's meant for phones, right? Like, they can't have it draining your battery listening to music. So it's pretty efficient when it comes to the streaming quality versus power situation. The bummer for me is that Linux just doesn't like Apple Music. There's an app called Cider that works pretty good, and it's like a UI for Apple Music where you log in and it just like flavors the web interface as if it's its own app. You can't download songs. You have to be streaming online. You can put it in desktop mode and then put it in game mode and run it in the background, and it works fine, but it stops playback all the time. So like, if they can make this work for Apple Music, I'd be 100% on board. But if you don't want to set up Decky, which is my other roadblock, you can also just connect your Steam Deck to your phone via Bluetooth, and then then you can use your Steam Deck as a Bluetooth speaker for your phone. So like if you want to watch YouTube and get headphone audio through your deck and not have to connect to two devices, you just load up a YouTube video, connect to your Steam Deck via Bluetooth on your phone. It works as a speaker. Or same deal, if you want to just listen to music, you connect your phone to your Steam Deck via Bluetooth, and then you boot up Apple Music, you play the music on your phone, you can listen to it through your Steam Deck. It's awesome. What it's really doing in both scenarios is kind of removing the phone, like in the easy way, your phone's still connected, but all of the playback controls are in Decky. And then the still easy, but a little bit more difficult way, it's just all handled on your deck. I like this. I just would like Valve to build this into SteamOS. I know people get weird when you say apps should be preloaded or features like this should be preloaded. It's awesome on PS5 to be able to log into Apple Music and have all of my playlists right there, control the volume of the game and the music. I think we can live with Apple Music and Spotify being integrated into SteamOS, because if you don't want to use them, you can just ignore them. And then they could have a third option where you can use your locally saved music, because I feel like there's a perfect circle Venn diagram of people on Linux that have all their music saved and don't use streaming services like Spotify or Apple Music. Regardless, it's awesome. It's easy to set up. Just Google Deckify. All the instructions are on the GitHub page. If I can figure it out, anyone can. And finally, that brings me to the third news story here, which is about this absolutely insane handheld concept that Lenovo just revealed. It's called the Lenovo Legion Go Fold, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a foldable OLED, I guess, because it's foldable tablet screen that folds down into a handheld size screen, or you can use it full portrait mode or full landscape mode and just lock on the controllers like the regular old Legion Go. It looks honestly insane when you use it fully folded out, up or sideways, but when it's folded down, it looks like a Legion Go, and it has controller style grips. The interesting thing about it is it has the same specs as the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. So instead of an AMD chip, it's got an Intel Core Ultra 7, which I think is a good chip. I have a Core Ultra 9 in my 5080 PC in the basement. I have had zero issues with it. It runs every game maxed out at 60 frames per second. So I know the 5080 is doing the legwork, but the CPU isn't bottlenecking it, it seems. So like, I'm agnostic. I like AMD. I like Intel. I just want good performance that makes playing games easier. But I'm just curious if they're actually going to make this thing, because I've seen people asking for a tablet with click-on controls, right? And up until now, everyone that has come out has just looked bizarre. It's been like a massive tablet with the click-on controllers, and then you're holding this heavy-ass tablet in front of you. It doesn't look ergonomic. It looks unwieldy. Being able to flip the screen down is honestly a really cool sort of innovation. I always get worried about that stuff though, with the screen being exposed on the back, because you know, if you fold it up, it has to be up, and then if you fold it down, it's going to be facing backwards. But I guess you get enough protection on this thing from the two controllers being connected, and I think it's cool that it has controller hookups on both sides. So it has top and bottom, and top and bottom if it's sideways. I was going to say left and right, but that doesn't make sense. So yeah, top and bottom, both orientations, landscape and portrait. That makes sense, right? Yeah, it totally does. I saw a video going around over the weekend where someone was playing Fallout 4 on their AYN Thor, and they had, you know, the gameplay on the top screen and the Pip-Boy on the bottom, and somehow they got that working. I would love a dual screen Steam Deck, but like this thing looks like it's filling that purpose as well. Playing 3DS games with a giant tablet screen folded out does sound kind of awesome. Like if you're shiny farming, you can fast forward and everything in Pokemon. Like, I think the dual screen thing deserves to have more companies investing in it than just Nintendo, who doesn't invest in it anymore. And there were rumors about the Switch 2 having an extra port to have a flip up screen, dual screen setup for the Switch 2. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I know everyone wants a Steam Deck Mini. I know everyone wants a tablet Steam Deck. I would love to see a Steam Deck with the dual screen. If they do a Steam Deck Mini, make it dual screen. I think that would be awesome. So yeah, guys, that about wraps it up for this video. Just to check in, I've got the upstairs set figured out, it seems. I got my silver play button from PS Ready here. I got that really fast. Like, it was way quicker than Deck Ready. I've got my Dale Earnhardt picture I bought at a garage sale. I've got my Michael Myers LED sign that isn't plugged in that I bought at Spirit Halloween, and I didn't have anywhere to put it, but now I do. Yeah. I think this set is cool. I really like sitting up here because the temperature is nice. But yeah, I'm going to be filming here. I'll film in the living room. I'll film in the basement in the summer when it's hot as hell, because who cares where I'm filming, honestly? It's about just having fun talking about video games and the Steam Deck. I hope everything's going great for you. I just hope it warms up soon. I'm sick of the cold weather. I hated having warm weather every day in LA. I hate having winter in Michigan. I'm just never going to be happy. But yeah, guys, anyways, as always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.